To most of the men who are out of shape, I'm here to tell you that you can't get into shape, not because you have a desire problem or you don't have the motivation to get into shape. It's simply because of your strategy problem. You've got a very poor strategy. And what do I mean by this? So, a lot of brothers, they would try to execute their fat loss phase by doing it the hard way first before, you know, ignoring the basics. So they would straight away, for these aggressive cuts, slash the calories down quickly. You know, they would just, you know, execute their training with no proper structure, no proper plan, and they would just eat whatever they want as long as they hit their calories. And that just clearly shows that you want to chase the quick fixes, you want to lose fat quickly, and you just have this short-term mindset that you're gonna get this, you wanna just lose fat as quickly as possible for whatever reason, probably for a holiday or for a photo shoot, whatever it may be. But I'm here to tell you that you're putting yourself at a very high risk. Why? Because not many people can sustain these aggressive cuts. And to be fair, I wouldn't be able to do it because this is coming from my own experience as well. Because I used to do I used to be dieting down at 1,400 calories before, no structure, no proper training, and with no proper cardio plan, just winging it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt like shit. So I'm speaking from my own experience. And to be fair, even like any other fitness coach or experienced fitness coach wouldn't be able to do the same thing. And I wouldn't be able to do the same thing as well. So yeah, not to say that obviously you guys don't have the discipline to be doing it. It's just, something that your body won't be able to handle, and your body is gonna adapt quickly and try to, fight back, because your body is very smart. It will adapt without you even knowing. And it will adapt by, ruining your metabolism, because obviously you're slashing your calories very down to the point where you're gonna have a very bad metabolism and your energy is going to be very poor, especially during the gym. And it's just something that you won't be able to sustain and handle as a result of that. So there is a lot of downsides when it comes to aggressive cutting. And so instead of you having a short-term mindset that fat loss is going to come quick, instead the more better, smarter strategy approach is to focus on the basics first by, prepping your meals, eating the same meals, having a good amount of sleep, getting a good amount of sleep every single night, because a lot of you guys out there can't even execute this simple stuff of, training with a good structure, getting your steps in daily, and like I said, eating clean, tracking your calories, all of these, foundational habits that you must set up and execute just to help you build your foundations and build your habits before moving on to the next strategy, which is setting up your calories. Then you should set up your calories by dropping just below maintenance and increasing the deficit further by doing more output, by doing 10k steps daily, and by doing 20 minutes of cardio daily, so that we can keep food as high as possible once we see a massive drop off on the scale weight. Not a massive one, but once we see like a good drop off of 0.7 to 1 kg per week is a good amount of drop off, or let's just say 0.8 to 1% of your scale weight, of your body weight per week. And another thing that I want to note as well is you guys have the short-term mindset of, you want to lose weight so quickly to the point where you rely too much on the scale, because the scale isn't the only metric when it comes to losing fat. It's also about visuals. Visuals is also another piece of data that just indicates your progress, not just the scale. Because your weight is going to fluctuate on a day-to-day basis, even if your deficit is large. by eating more food for whatever reason, water weight, more sodium intake, maybe you had one night of poor sleep. But you shouldn't rely too much on the scale, and that's another issue with a lot of people out there. They rely too much on the scale, and hence they will end up feeling demotivated, and then they will just end up, giving up when they don't understand that the scale isn't the only metric, and fat loss, weight loss is not the same thing. So you got to understand that your motivation isn't your problem, and you not being able to lose fat isn't your problem. It's your strategy problem. You need to simply, build your foundation first, and then set your calories up correctly, and then don't think that once you lose that fat, once you get to your desired scale weight goal, or whatever goal weight you're trying to get to, and whatever body fat percentage you're trying to get to, that you're automatically done. No. And that's another issue with most people as well. They think once they're done with their fat loss, they can just eat whatever they want. And what ends up happening, they'll end up putting the weight back on, and they'll end up putting the fat back on that they've worked hard to lose. So you got to understand that the goal isn't just to get clean, it's to also stay there. And so a more sustainable strategy is by you executing the cutting phase fully, and then once the cutting phase is done, you want to do a reverse diet phase of reverse dieting for 4 to 6 weeks. And by doing this will allow us to avoid any fat gain, whilst also trying to eat more food, bring up calories up slowly over time for these 4 to 6 weeks. And hence it will improve our training performance as well. And our energy will be more improved, and scale may increase as well, but that's just water weight, you can't understand. And back to what I just said, you brothers will feel demotivated. You may be feeling demotivated because the scale goes up from your reverse diet, but you got to understand that that's not you gaining fat. You're just simply putting on more water weight. Why? Because you're increasing carbs, and more carbs hold on to more water. Hence, you'll get a bigger scale weight maybe on the next day because of water weight has gone up. It's not fat gain. So you got to understand that, like I said, scale and visuals is better than the scale weight. And the scale weight isn't the only metric to lose fat, and it's not the only way to determine how you look visually. So you've got to understand that once you're done with once you're done with the cutting phase, you also need to be doing the reverse diet phase. And a lot of people will just try to, execute the cut quickly, and once they're done with the cut, they will straight away go into their holiday, and they will just end up rewarding themselves from the hard work they put in, which I kind of do understand. But at the same time, what was the point of you, losing fat and then gaining the fat back from you binge eating and enjoying yourself throughout the holiday? There's no point. So you got to understand that. Don't think that you're going to be done right after the cut. No, you got the reverse diet to do afterwards, and then obviously you got to do like a 2 to 4 week that you finding your new true maintenance right before you go into the improvement phase. Or a lot of people might just eat a maintenance and stay lean forever, which is fine, as long as you understand that fat loss is a strategy. Losing fat comes with you executing the cut at a sustainable strategy, you building the foundations first, and then you setting up the calories, and then doing the cutting phase, which is an obvious one, of course, and then doing the reverse diet phase, and then eating at finding a new true maintenance afterwards. And then after that, you're gonna continue doing those same habits that you've built, especially during your foundation, because fitness is a lifestyle. It's not some part-time temporary thing, which is also another issue with people as well. They think fitness isn't a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, because if you don't think it's a lifestyle, you're gonna just end up being out of shape afterwards. What's the point of you being in shape and then being out of shape afterwards? It doesn't make sense. So you got to understand that fitness is a lifestyle, because the habits you build during a cut or whilst you're losing fat are those habits that will stay with you forever. So This is proof to you guys that you don't really have a motivation or a desire goal or a goal problem. You've got a sequencing problem. So focus on building your foundations first, and then focus on executing the cut in a sequential, sustainable, and strategical approach, because that's how you're going to be losing fat way more easily and in a more sustainable and effective way, instead of you just, executing the cut with no proper plan, with no proper strategy. So that's it from me. If you found this video helpful, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If not, then the fact that you've watched this video is good enough for me. And thanks for watching as always. I will see you lot in the next video.